This is about you. This is where you came from. So enough of that. So let's talk about some themes, and without even trying to pretend to put a date on them. And the first one is this. Let's start. Let's talk about emotional contagion. And how many of you, within the next 5 minutes, maybe it won't happen immediately, how many of you will start to yawn?
Simply. Probably shouldn't start a class though.
Because
especially
you guys
with
know what I'm talking about.
especially with young kids.
Yeah. You guys know what I'm talking about, how that yawns are contagious. You ever thought about biologically why? Well, there are a lot of reasons, and some people say that we tried to, as a group organism, try to get on the same circadian rhythms, that when one's tired and needs to sleep, that they all, as a group, are able to do that for whatever reason. I don't know if that's true or not, but it does illustrate the point that we are emotionally porous. I think that's a good way of describing it, to where each one of us is not an emotional island. We are in this sea of emotions, and sometimes things sweep past us from another person, and we feel what they feel. When they feel joy, we feel joy. When they feel anger, we feel anger with them. When they feel sorrow, depression, heartbreak, you know, I heard somebody wise once say that the greatest pain that they have ever been through is from the things that did not happen to them. You know what I mean by that? The greatest pain they've ever felt is from things that did not happen to them. A great way of illustrating the fact that we are not emotional islands. And this is a huge part of our morality. Think about that. The fact that I don't want to cause you pain because your pain ends up causing me pain. This is why we use laugh tracks on comedies. Because when we hear other people laughing, it becomes easier for ourselves to laugh. When we see other people smiling, it becomes easier for us to smile. And let me just tell you a horrible, horrible experiment done during the 1960s that really does illustrate this well, and wouldn't be done today, but it's something that we can learn from. They did this. They trained a rat to use a lever through operant conditioning to get a pellet. Press the lever, get a pellet. That was the deal. And they catch on this relatively quick. Rats are pretty smart for their size. Then they changed the experiment. They took another rat, separated by plexiglass, to where they could see each other and hear each other, and then did this. Not only did they connect the lever to the pellet tray, but they also connected to electrodes that went to this rat next to him. Meaning that when he pressed that lever to get the pellet, not only did he get food and something good and positive for that personal rat, but something negative would happen to a rat next to him. And this rat would be electrified and would feel pain and would exhibit all the emotions that go with that, of jumping and tiny little squeaks, feeling real significant pain from that. And the experiment was, what would that rat's reaction be? Would he continue to get that pellet as he always has? Or is there going to be a behavior change? And it's not surprising to me, and it's probably not surprising to you. What do you think that rat's reaction was? He quit, yeah. He would starve himself for long periods of time. And they actually did it with rhesus monkeys too. And how long do you think that monkey made it without eating? This is a horrible, horrible way of doing an experiment. 12 days. That monkey starved himself for 12 days before eating again, simply to avoid causing another monkey that he cared about pain. We are not emotional islands. And the fact that, like I said, my actions can either bring you joy or they can bring you pain. And that is a great motivation to act morally. And there are deep roots to that in the biological tree. In the next one, I actually have a clip. Let me see if I can get to it. And this one I think is awesome.
Sunday is Mother's Day, so we'll end the week with Steve Hartman's nominee for Mother of the Year. tonight's Assignment America.
You can understand why some visitors to the Burlington, Iowa Humane Society get a little freaked out. It's not every day you see a dog have a kitten for lunch.
Grab him, grab the little kitty.
And not just a kitten. This dog is about to have a whole litter of kittens for lunch.
Uh-oh.
The story of this unusual dining arrangement began a couple months ago. Lily, a mix of lab and who knows what, was found along an old farm road. She was pregnant and soon had 6 puppies who all got adopted. And everything was fine until the kittens showed up without a mother.
And we didn't know what to do. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to bottle feed all these kitties.
Teresa Kurth works for the shelter and helped come up with a solution.
You know, there's a big difference between a dog and a cat.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So we thought, let's just try.
Try and see if Lily would have the kittens for lunch, which she did. Breakfast and dinner, too.
To see this dog just take to these baby kitties instantly, I just think Lily's one of a kind.
Yes and no. There was also the cat who heard an abandoned fawn crying for food and took in the little deerlet. Or how about the baby horse raised by a goat? And perhaps most amazing of all, the leopard who in killing a baboon unwittingly created an orphan. The leopard could have easily made the baby an appetizer, but instead sat down beside and mothered it. Why would an animal show such grace? Why would Lily, when one of the kittens fell into her water dish, rescue the little troublemaker and carry him off to safety? Why? Other than the obvious.
I mean, it's what she does.
Indeed, for most mothers, it's just what they do. An instinct so deeply wired into them that often all they know is to love and care for life. Understanding it completely will take scientists many more years, but feel free to appreciate it this weekend. Steve Hartman, CBS News, Burlington, Iowa.
So what do you guys think about that?
Oh.
Emotional reactions? Yeah.
Yuki.
Yeah, and it's entirely true that one of the reasons that we're nice is to be able to care for youngins. I mean, if a baby cries, you mothers, is it not, do you not have to be very emotionally in tune with that baby and very much engaged with it to be able to determine why is that baby crying? That baby can't communicate yet. But a cry, are there not certain kind of cries? I mean, I'm not a parent. You guys know what I'm talking about? How much you have to be engaged and emotionally invested in that child and be able to care for them well. Are you hungry? Do you need to be changed? Is there something wrong? Are you in pain? You really have to care about that child in order to be able to give them quality care. And that's what we as animals have done for millions and millions of years. We've taken great care of our children, and one of the ways that we do that is becoming really emotionally invested in our young. And so there's a big theme, okay? A big theme of emotional contagion, the fact that we share emotions like viruses, the fact that we've needed to be emotionally engaged with our offspring. Those are big factors, big base level foundations for what later became our advanced morality. And the next one, this is kind of a later on one, so to speak, but the fact that we have lived in hierarchy, groups with hierarchies, back to the subject that we were talking about before us, where, I read this book, and I have a small bibliography. Most of those I've read, some of them I just partially read, some I have not read at all. But the idea that Frans de Waal, a Dutch guy, brought to my attention was that when you look at kind of the evolutionary timeline, or even just kind of, if you want to put a hierarchy to different apes and monkeys and things like that, very early on, we were a power-driven group, meaning that the alpha male was determined by whoever had the biggest guns, the biggest canines, the biggest girth and body, and was able to dominate in fights.